All right, hello everybody. You sexy bitch.
Welcome, one and all,
Yeah,
to WWE.
I think that's my new goal, is to fuck up every intro of this podcast.
yeah, we usually cut that out, but we're keeping that one in. All right, hello everybody, and welcome to Manga4Dummies episode. Should probably write that down. Are we at episode
6, 5.
five? Okay,
If
cool.
we don't count the shorts.
Okay, yeah, episode 5 with 3 again. Maybe we'll have 6 one day.
Maybe all of us will be here one day.
Yeah, and anyway, so yeah, for today we had the objective of chapters 71 to 90. So yeah, there's a lot of neat things that happen in this chapter. I think it's a pretty action-packed chapters. Unlike us others that felt a little like world-buildy, this one is non-stop action. And to be fair, I feel like the characters revisit a lot of the places that were world build, which was really neat in that sense. Yeah. So, like always, well, not like always, because we recently-ish started using this format. We brought talking points, and we'll see how that goes.
I like that you bring it up every time.
Yeah,
just highlights how smart of an idea it was.
Sick son of a bitch. Okay, anyway.
Well, they never know what our format is, so we gotta...
Yeah. So,
yeah, we keep them on their toes.
Yeah, it might be any episode could be anybody's first episode, right?
Yeah, one episode might just be an hour and a half of silence.
Yeah,
we don't know yet. We'll see. We're avant-garde like that.
Yeah, it's
badly records, no audio is captured.
Yeah,
it'd be only video for some reason.
And it's just the three of us staring blankly at a camera.
Yeah, perfect.
Oh, you're staring at a camera?
I mean, no, but we'll do it if it's a video. We have to.
Wow, we're going really strong spots here, guys. All right,
yeah, these talking points are real valuable.
All right, speaking of talking, my first talking point was the introduction of even more talking chimeras.
That transition, smooth.
That transition. Yeah, well, listen, man. I'm convinced at this point that they were just meant to be kept a secret. These are experimental, and they're prototype-ish, and they weren't meant for the. I mean, how could you say it? The real world.
The innocent world.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
What's exactly new about them? I mean, they were in Greed's gang, so naturally they should be in the military too. I mean, Greed only got a few of them, so...
I think it's just that Yuan still isn't over Nina's death. I think that's what it is.
You can't get over it. Come on, dude.
You can't.
I mean, it's done now.
It is an interesting point, though, because it does raise a lot of questions as to why they're funding this research. If most of the government officials are corrupt, which is something we learn now, they have no reason to be funding Tucker's research. I think this is just something that was, the mangaka presented the idea earlier in the series, and she thought it was cool, so she wanted to revisit it. And I don't think, maybe there is, maybe we're not thinking hard enough because we're all dum-dums, but maybe it could just be as simple as it was a cool concept and she wanted to revisit it.
I mean, if we go looking back, if we have hindsight 2020 powers and we go back and had to rewrite the story, I think the mangaka could have probably made Sho Tucker older and make it like a wise old, not necessarily wise, but like an old man who's maybe like a crazy old man who's done research on chimeras for like years. So she could call back like, oh, thanks to Sho Tucker's research, we made these chimeras a long time ago. It'd be harder to incorporate Nina, but I'm pretty sure with her skills, that wouldn't be too hard.
Well, what we could have done, or what we could do, is we could go back and have Tucker be the one who created all these chimeras, so like the ones who hang out with Greed and these ones right here, and we could consider Nina a failed experiment. He has been trying to recreate chimera without a philosopher's stone for years, and this is as far as he gets. There you go. Fixed.
Well, another way is that these chimeras were obviously meant for military use. Maybe he thought that he wanted to make chimeras for like pet use, household use, and just talking ones. Like, this is commercialized.
Nope.
No, you
That
don't. You don't want a talking dog.
no, not anyway. I have a better
Yeah.
question. All these chimeras are talking about returning back to normal, but they can still transform back to their human selves. Like, I understand probably the process was horrible and everything, and like now they can transform, but like it's like having a superpower just extra. Like,
Well, yeah, but I
beast
mean,
mode.
they're freaks, you know. There's obviously reason for them to want to go back to normal. You know, they're not the same. They've been fused with an animal, which I would agree with you honestly. If I could become a chimera that could just go back to normal, that'd be pretty fucking dope.
I mean,
But you know,
aren't you already part ape?
Damn, that's what's rude.
trying to fire shots.
No, but I mean, if we remember the Greed's gang, I'm pretty sure half of them were like cripples before becoming chimeras. So even if they went back to normal, would they go back to cripples?
Yeah, I don't know. I think like I said before, I think the whole topic of chimeras was just, it was a cool idea, not meant to think too much about it. You know, it does bring up some questionable plot elements, of course, but you know, at the end of the day, it's just, I don't know. I don't know how to justify this one, honestly. Was it a mistake? We don't know. We can't ask the fucking manga artist. If we were smart, we probably could have done some research and see what she had to say on it if this question was ever brought up to her. But we're not, so
Yeah, this is what we
we're
call
Also, these
we call it
chimeras
manga for
lost.
dummies, not manga for smart people.
Also, these chimera lost relatively fast to Edward. To be honest, like the ones in Greed Gang at least had like talent and were able to kick some ass.
I'm guessing it's because by now, not Al, Ed is used to facing off chimeras.
yeah.
Um,
Well, okay, well, Max, to go back to what you said about them having like that extra superpower, by that logic, wouldn't it be dumb for Ed to want to go get his original body back?
no, because he. Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're a bunch of shit with automail, so it's not. It's not like it's a perfect thing. Because like the whole chimera thing is like you still get to be human, but you
Well,
only need to use the chimera side of you like when in danger or something.
well, there's probably
That was
some.
my thought.
What if
But
they're
then
like
with the
unwanted?
Nina thing, like, because you also have the soul of the animal you're bonded with, I guess, so that's probably a big issue.
Right, I think at
Yeah.
a certain point, like the chimera dudes did say like, "Oh, my animal instincts are going off."
Exactly.
Maybe they
So
have like
maybe,
even bigger animal instincts that like piss them off.
yeah, it's just like inconvenience. Not, it's putting it lightly, but they have inconveniences. Like maybe Frog Boy has like acid reflux because of his mucus
No,
powers. You know?
like if
Yeah, maybe he used to be
physiological side
maybe
effect.
he used to be jacked, and now his new frog powers made him fat as hell. Like it's.
And he has a tail.
Mm-hmm. Maybe the other dude like can't get hair pets anymore because his hair's always spiky and uncomfortable to touch.
I mean, didn't really matter. At the end of chapter 90, he gets fucking pooey.
Does he?
Yeah, Kimberly shows up and is like, haha, bitch.
That's the lion one though.
Is that the lion one?
Yeah, the
Yeah, the
lion's the one
lion
with the
one gets
glasses.
fucking bodied. Yeah.
Oh.
Heinkel? Is that his
Well, I
name?
mean, he already lost an arm, so I guess he's not really that important.
Max, you're German. How do you say that name? It's like Heinkel or some shit.
Heinken.
There you go. Heinkel. Eh.
All right.
Well, there you go. I hope that cleared some. I hope that cleared your questions.
I just hope that next few chapters don't have even more chimeras. Because at a certain point, it really breaks down the importance of Nina. But
Well, listen, man. I actually I don't remember if there are more chimeras, but we have seen in the underground of Father's Lair about 50 chimeras being guards. So
oh yeah, you're right. But those don't talk, as far as I know.
those don't. So it's
Also,
okay.
Is it
Yeah.
just me, or it took them like super short to get from the north back to central almost?
Well, when they left Briggs.
Yeah.
Well,
Is there really a time skipped thing? Like,
there was. Yeah, there was
oh,
definitely.
there
a
was. I'm
skip.
goofing.
Yeah. There was like a 6-month period. That's how Lanfan or Ranfan was able to get her arm operation,
Yeah.
automail, surgery, other words. that apply to this situation.
Well, anyway, going back to, I mean, if we're moving off the point of Briggs, I remember last time we had this episode, well, not this episode, but last time we had an episode, VJ talked about how Briggs miraculously holds off Drachma.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, we got the opportunity to look, to see what happens when Drachma attacks, and it ain't pretty.
And no, it is not.
It's not very impressive.
Yeah, it's, at least from what I'm guessing is that probably Amestris has alchemists, while Drachma has no alchemists. Is that the biggest difference?
It's possible. We don't really know anything about Drachma.
I don't even think they used alchemists. I just think they used their technological weapons because they had those war tanks and everything, and they just wiped the floor with them.
Yeah.
Straight up. Because we didn't meet any alchemists. Like, alchemists would usually gather up to, like, see other alchemists.
Right.
Yeah. The only alchemists outside of Amestris that we know exist for a fact are in Sing.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it might be just one of those rare things. And to be fair, it's also pretty possible that alchemy only exists in those two countries because Father and Hohenheim, like, that's where they traveled and that's where they established their empires, I guess. So that's where alchemy was founded. I mean, you know, before Xerxes, but Xerxes is gone now, so.
And the Ishvalans only learned, well, at least one Ishvalan only learned about alchemy by studying those two countries.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he created like a mix of the two.
Yeah, so it stands to reason that...
only those two countries have it.
Yeah. That actually does bring up something I wanted to ask you guys. When they start deciphering Scar's brother's notes, what did you think of that process? This is a nitpick because obviously
they coded his notes with immortal and golden body.
No, it was less the hints that he left and more so how they found out. Like, obviously, given enough time, they probably could have found it out. But just the fact that in the span of 3 panels, they discovered how to reverse the giant alchemy circle by just like May picking up the book and says, you know what, there's a lot of mentions of the word gold and stuff. Let's just take the book apart and connect them like tic-tac-toe or whatever and draw on it and see what happens. I feel like there was a bit of a jump there. Like, I feel like a bit more logic had to be applied to that for them to find that out. I feel like it wasn't earned, basically.
I mean, she's 11 years old. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Let her do that.
It was such a jump in reasoning. You know, it was like, okay, well, there's a lot of mentions of gold. Let's draw on the papers. It's like, what? Why?
Well, the author probably already had the thought of coding their alchemy. Yeah. So he was just like, how can I make them realize to do this? And it's like,
I mean, yeah, but all I'm saying is I feel like it could have been given a bit more attention. You know?
I mean, on the other hand, like we said, like in terms of the Ishbal people, it's I'm pretty sure like Scar's brother is like one of the first or only alchemist savvy people. So maybe it's just that because he's like one of the first, he hasn't ever had to really decode it hard, code it in a way that's like hard to decipher. Because even if like his neighbor comes in and grabs his papers, he won't know.
It's not like they can understand. Yeah.
I mean, yes.
I mean, yes. There's like you gotta give like a lot of leeway for the author. Because I do agree with you that it's a little too simplistic. But I mean, last time that we had like a decoding scene, she also had that sort of easy getaway with that girl that randomly has like photographic memory. Like if I already accepted that, so I don't think like I have to accept this if I accepted that, which I think that's even more ridiculous. That you just happen to know somebody with photographic memory.
Who read everything?
Shetska, yeah. Well, I mean, that's fine. You know, obviously it wasn't necessary for that character to exist. Like, they could have just not burned down the library and have that be as is. But even then, like the whole discovering what a philosopher's stone was, that process took the Elrics like a few weeks to find out. Like a few weeks of not sleeping and just staying in the library and figuring shit out.
Well,
and what you guys said. What you said, Max, about, or either Max or you, I'm sorry, I'm tired. One of you guys said that, like, he was new to alchemy. Scar's brother was new to alchemy, so he didn't take the time to code his research or whatever. And if a Mestrist alchemist had looked at the pages and then come to that conclusion, I would have accepted it a little bit more. But it's May who makes this connection.
Well, I mean,
This
she also studies
11-year-old
alchemy.
girl.
It's not far. What?
Yes, but she it's not the same alchemy at all, you know?
Well, I mean, his is a mix of both. Like, it's not like you can't make any leap of judgment already studying one kind, then you're looking at a mixed kind. You're like, oh, that could make sense.
I also feel that they had a little more idea of what they're looking for through these papers, because they're obviously trying to find like something to help situation X, while trying to find like the composition of something. I feel like is harder in general because it's more vague. This one they at least have like an end goal in mind of what they want to look for, so it's a little bit easier to decode. Once again, like I already said, that like there's a lot of you got to give a lot of leeway to the author, because in many cases I agree with you that this is a little too easy. Then again, like because of the fast-paced nature of these last few chapters that we read, I feel like this is just her using like a time-saving mechanic or something.
Yeah,
I
because
guess.
she's like, new alchemist, didn't think about it too hard.
It makes the only thing that I guess, I mean, it doesn't bother me obviously, because on a first read through you don't it's not something you pick up. It's like, okay, they use deductive reasoning and this, that, and this and that. I just feel like it's a problem.
Sure
quote
bothers
unquote.
you in hindsight, Jesus.
Well, no, it's not. But that's the thing. It's not that it bothers me. I just feel it's something that could have been handled a little better. Like, it's something that they could have brought up after the time skip. They could have had a short scene of them uncovering finally, after 6 months of research, what the reverse alchemy circle looks like. It's just something that could have been, I guess, handled slightly better. But again, this is a nitpick that I'm bringing up. It's whatever.
Did Marco
It's
use
like you
the
once said.
alchemy circle to set up traps?
Yeah, but you could do that in general. I think this giant alchemy circle is a little harder to do.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Well, I mean, Marco didn't set up traps.
Yeah, he did.
He did to get envy.
He was lying, dude. It literally in the next panel, it's just you see that it's just May who's making the alchemy go off.
Oh yeah, remote. Yeah.
No,
remote.
I meant when he used the alchemy against envy, he had that circle in his hand.
Well, there you go.
Looked like what they found.
They could have dropped that whole shit about them discovering the reverse alchemy circle pre-time skip, and they could have showcased it then and there. Marco finally pulls out the glove and pops Envy in the face, and then we could have had something like a little flashback during the 6 months where, Marco and May and whoever else was with them are slaving over this research trying to find a cure or a reversal to the alchemy circle, and that could have been it.
Do you think
that doesn't sound very interesting? I'm actually quite happy the way he did it, because
you're telling me
and would just
You're telling me that it wouldn't have been cooler if we didn't know that Marco learned reverse alchemy. You're telling me if you didn't see any of that shit, and like any of that shit of them discovering how to reverse the big ass alchemy and Philosopher's Stone alchemy circle, and you just see Marco pull out a glove, he says that line, I learned how to destroy them too, and he just fucking pops Envy in the fucking forehead. You're telling me you found that less hype than if you didn't know that shit?
Yeah, because he's been studying his whole life.
Well, okay, VJ, do you think that...
So it's not only just then.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying
and now they found the circle.
And the one who discovered that shit during the 6 months, it would have been way cooler.
Yeah.
Okay, well, VJ, do you think that part of the reason why the author decided to go down this route is because this was a monthly series? So you know how in weekly series, obviously the chapters are shorter, but there's like more time to revisit things. In monthly series, there's like more. It's a little more compact, even though there's more pages. So maybe just as a way to either A, she could have possibly forgotten to come back to this point, or B, it's just a way to do more in less time.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't look at it from that angle. It's true that from a pacing perspective, we're like binging the chapters we have to read. So it could come off as rushed, obviously, if we look at it from that perspective. I guess if looking at it from like a monthly perspective, I guess it does make more sense.
All right, cool.
I can't fault, but like I'm saying, I can't falter for it, and I'm not saying it's a problem. I'm just using problem as a lack of a better word.
It's the same thing as my talking chimera gripe. Like obviously
Yeah,
the
exactly.
two don't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but it's just that for some reason it just scratches you the wrong way.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
All
It's
right,
ju-
cool.
it's about attention to detail, and or lack thereof, and that actually brings me into one of my talking points, which was despite all the shit we just said, this author is really incredible at putting up stuff subtly or not so subtly, and her attention to detail, I think, is really nice. And I just wanted to ask you guys if you had noticed anything, that on a second read through or after multiple read throughs, because this is our, nth number of time, our nth time reading through the series. I just wanted to know if you guys had noticed anything that, like, on a first read through you didn't notice, but going back you see it now and you're like, oh wow, she thought of that.
Right. So one thing that me and Max both noticed, and this was probably on his, well, it was on Max's first read through, so I'm actually impressed that he noticed it. But it was on my like nth read through, which was
Mm-hmm.
at chapter 79, page 13,
Mm-hmm.
where Envy comes attacking, and then like we said, May and what's the doctor called? Marco?
Marco.
Yeah,
Marco,
they
yeah.
fake traps. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there was the thousand years of pain, or is it thousand years of death that
Yeah.
that comes up and gets Envy in the back. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I actually did a little bit of research. So about this time, well, it's not really much research because it was pretty obvious that around Fullmetal Alchemist came out around the same time as Naruto, and it's
Okay.
it's pretty possible that as Naruto was getting popular, that maybe the author had the chance to see that one of the most iconic early scenes of Naruto, and or maybe it's just something that really happens a lot in Japan.
It,
Uh,
it actually it is.
it is.
Hold
I
the
mean,
finger in the butt
not that
thing.
I know, but I have seen it in many anime. Yeah, yeah, where they like poke their fingers up people's butts. Yeah.
It's so weird.
I
Anyway,
mean, hey man, it's a different culture.
Yeah, but I don't recommend.
nonetheless.
Yeah, so I just thought it was like a fun little
That's
thing.
racist.
Yeah, but apart from that, there's like a lot of pretty neat stuff that I didn't really notice on the first time going through. And to be fair,
Mm-hmm.
most times when I read through things the first time, I usually go at a little brisker than usual. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, there's a lot of neat details. Some of the scenes feel that it was a little more complete than I expected. Uh, and then there's like details that come back, and then obviously, like I said at the beginning, we also revisit a lot of the earlier parts that we world build into.
Mm-hmm.
For example, when Alphonse reaches that town with the Lido church
Yeah.
was demolished, like the author didn't need to point out that the radio that Alphonse fixed was still there. But I feel like it was a really neat touch that brought back to longtime readers of the series.
Exactly. Like back to the beginning kind of stuff. Little throwbacks.
It also
Yeah.
shows like the progress because when Alphonse had to fix that the first time, he had to like draw a circle out manually with a bunch of fancy like lines and stuff, and it just shows that compared to, even though he doesn't necessarily become like overpowered, he does become like much better at alchemy
Mm-hmm.
than he started out with at the beginning of the series. So
I
yeah,
agree. I agree. I do. Yeah, exactly. And it's just one of the many things that the author just took the time to add into the story when she didn't really need to, but it just enriches the story that much more. I thought it was really cool. Max, did you notice anything like this
I
other
mean,
than what
I only
Yuan
saw
just said?
the Naruto sort of reference type thing.
Okay. I
Like,
I Yeah, yeah, for sure. I honestly I notice it a lot on my, on this whatever it is, third or fourth read through now. I noticed that a lot of the dialogue that she uses it's not, it's there for a reason. A lot of times she'll bring up elements that are recurring, and one of these that I saw that is especially prominent is when they first fought the Frog Boy Chimera.
mhm,
I think Scar mentioned to himself, like, despite his size, he's fast. He's fast.
mhm.
And it was the same thing when Ed got his new automail. It's showcased and it's noted on it's mentioned by other characters that he's a lot faster now, and that can just simply be a throwaway line that a regular shonen manga or anime would just be like, oh, he's powered up, holy crap! But it comes back later when they're fighting Pride. I think Ed's about to get stabbed or something, but the Frog Boy comes in and manages to jump in and out real quick to save Ed from getting stabbed. And again, when I can't remember who Ed was fighting. It might have been Kimberly. He starts fighting Kimberly, and even Kimberly makes a note of how much faster he's become with the new automail. And I think that just little details like this, I feel like it just, like I said, it enriches the world so much more. And it's not just cheap one-liners that anime characters usually throw at each other during a fight. It's like just cleverly put into the story.
I mean, they say that he's faster, but they also note that his punches are also a lot lighter.
Exactly. Stuff like that. I just think that's really cool. There's another thing I wanted to bring up, sorry, before we move on, because it does have something to do with attention to detail, because
right.
I have been looking a lot more at the art and the composition of the panels and stuff like this. Mm-hmm. And in chapter 72, page 44, when they're trying to trick Kimberly into believing that Scar kidnapped Winry,
right.
There's this last panel here where you see Kimberly looking up at Scar, and right next to it is the panel of Scar holding up Winry, and he looks menacing, obviously, in this picture because it's meant to be an anime moment and to look super cool and stuff. But this kind of goes back to what we were talking about in prior episodes about that cycle of violence,
mm-hmm.
And I don't know, when I looked back at this, I thought to myself, like, this is Scar officially choosing to try and end the cycle of violence by siding with Winry, because we did say that Scar had an angel and a devil on either side trying to pull him either way into this cycle of violence, one end being Kimberly, who was the bad side, and Winry being the good side. So I thought this was like a really powerful page here. I thought it said so much more than it let on. It wasn't only a cool moment, but it was also this subtle way of letting the reader know that that there's been character growth here, and I thought it was really cool.
I also feel that part of the reason why Kimberly almost can believe this act is that because he's like a cold-blooded murderer, he believes in the cycle of violence. So I think he can almost believe that Scar actually takes away Winry.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, for him, the fact that they could be acting seems like out of the realm of possibilities.
Right.
Yeah, but going back to the idea of level of detail that she puts, I actually have a little bit of a counterpoint, which if we remember back to when Hohenheim gets to walk around in the sewers for fun, and he gets pretty much surprised by Pride's shadow powers.
Yes.
At one point, Hohenheim makes like a hole into the wall, and then Pride is unable to get to him. And then it's like, hey, Pride, are you pissed at me for not being able to kill me? And then Pride's like, oh, I because I am the sin of pride, I don't have any of the other sins, so I don't feel wrath, I don't feel hunger, and I don't feel lust. So I actually have a little bit of a gripe for this. For one, do you guys actually think that the sins only feel, or the sins can't feel the other sins?
Like their other primal emotions?
Yeah, the other primal emotions.
Max, what do you think?
I mean, envy shows wrath all the time. She shows being angry. Like, it's not like...
I think this goes back to what you were saying about giving the author some leeway, because at the same time, you don't want these characters to be that one-sided.
Right, but she specifically tries to make them sound one-sided, and I have the counterpoint is that we had that scene earlier on in previous chapters where Rad said that, I have my own pride in being a homunculi.
Okay.
The same way you have pride in being a human.
But at the same time, he's not purely made homunculi.
That's exactly what I was going to say. He
was transformed by the stone, so he's also like that human transformed part, but still with the brain of a human.
That is, word per word what I was going to say is that to counter your counter. I
You
mean,
just
first of
activated
all,
my trap card.
yeah, exactly. I mean, first of all, you got to keep in mind also, that it could have been lost in translation. Maybe he didn't say, "I take pride in being a homunculus," word for word. It could have been phrased differently in Japanese so that he didn't expressly, he didn't express exactly. And also, yeah, like Max said, he is first and foremost a human. So while he is predominantly, wrath, the sin, there is elements of him that make up a human. So his pride is a homunculus. There is even a line later down this chunk of chapters that we read where he's talking to Hawkeye, I think it is, and he brings up his wife. Exactly, and he brings up his wife, and he says, despite having my life paved for me and me having to walk stone for stone,
she was the only choice I made for myself.
Yeah, exactly. Which could, showcase his love for her. And Pride does the same thing when he says he's fond of his, quote unquote mother.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I get what you're saying for sure, but homunculus are basically just upgraded humans, I could say. So it would be, the author does make an effort to show that they are, one-dimensional characters because they represent a certain sin, but it goes deeper than that,
So on the, like, if we expand on that, so we know that...
hold on. I still have something else to say on attention to detail. Sorry. So in chapter 75 on slide 7...
that is
way
some
bigger talking point.
Detail.
This is a way bigger talking point than I thought it was going to be.
That's on you.
This is really just a little something.
Yeah, go for it.
There's a guy in, like, the middle right slide, sort of. He just looks completely like the priest of Leto in, like, the earlier chapters.
Yo.
Wait, what page
is this? This is page
Chapter
7, right?
75.
Page 7?
Yeah.
Yo. I did not even think of that. That's crazy. What would have been wild is if he was a descendant, but we know that's not possible because obviously they all died. But...
And Envy wasn't even born at that time yet, so, like, she couldn't have...
Yo. That's cute. I like that.
Anyway, it's just a reuse. Just like, gotcha, bitch. Anyway.
Gotcha, bitch.
Okay, one thing
dope.
is, so going back, so we know that these sins are all, like, expelled from Father's body into, like, a form, right?
Yeah.
So do you think when he expels, like, for example, greed, he loses any sense of greed?
I feel like him...
Sorry, I had to sneeze.
Him
What'd you say?
excluding souls from his body is more like excluding people of certain type of characteristics.
So, like, for example, like, we never see him... Okay, so the most basic one. So we never actually see him, like, lust over anybody. I'm talking about father, right? Which, considering if he calls himself father, but he doesn't look for somebody called a mother, which is whatever. But it might be because he expelled lust, and since lust was destroyed, he never got to reabsorb lust the same way he reabsorbed gluttony at a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, when he reabsorbed greed, I think we could almost see that he was almost meaner.
What? Oh, you're right. Continue. Sorry.
And then when he expelled greed, I feel like he just became a little more cold and emotionless. Do you think he actually expels, like, 100% of that primal desire?
I'm hesitant to say something because I think it might be a spoiler, but I'm pretty sure it's mentioned
that has never
at some
stopped
point.
You.
True. I'm pretty sure it's mentioned at some point that these homunculi are parts of him, and when he loses a part of when he makes a new homunculus, he loses that part of him. So yeah, he's super, like, plain and calm because.
So what do you think he keeps? Ambition?
Yeah, like,
the only thing that's driving him? Because if he loses all that, there's no point in continuing all his plans, technically.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. It's just that he has
You're losing personality traits.
Yeah, I mean,
like, for greed, you want to gather power because you want to become this and this.
Well, like, for example, when Father first meets Edward, like, he's like, you could almost say he's happy to see the son of his old friend.
Yeah. He's like indifferent-ish, but like he heals Al's hand.
Yeah, but he's like curious. So, I mean, like it's so weird because if we accept the fact that all these deadly sins are expelled from him, so he should have no greed. Well, he reabsorbed greed, so that's whatever. But he should have like no lust. He should have no envy. He should have no wrath.
Well, I mean, just because, and again, these are portrayed as bad things. You know, all these emotions, these primal emotions, they connect to other shit, but I don't think they're mutually exclusive. Like, you don't need greed to be ambitious. He has this master plan that he's been working on for, what is it, hundreds of years now.
You have to have a hint of greed. That's what I mean. Like, if you completely get rid of it, then you're missing that part of wanting something.
Well,
that's how I would say.
Man, this is like an ethics issue now.
Yeah, exactly. We're getting a bit like a deep question.
I feel like as a strong personality trait, greed, to the feeling to want something.
Well, greed says it himself at some point, I think.
Yeah, he wants everything.
Greed is desire, you know?
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, so is envy, though. Envy is also I personally think envy is sort of like a type of greed.
Yeah, but I mean, envy is malicious, whereas greed is just
more like jealousy in a sort.
Yeah. Envy is a, I don't know if insidious is the right word, but it's malicious. It's like malevolent. Like it's to wish. It's harmful almost.
Anyway, I think this is almost of a too heavy of a topic to talk about in like an acceptable amount of time. So I think we might skim over it.
Well, we could just generalize our opinions.
Yeah. So I mean, in general, I just feel that I feel like Father becomes a little because of the fact that Father creates these dudes out of himself in a sense. I feel like there's a little bit of wrong in the way that he's portrayed from the author's point of view, but honestly, it's almost like one of those small gripes again, so I don't fault her too much for it. Yeah, so that's just my general opinion.
What about you, Max?
So the fact that he always sits there and does nothing, and that all his personalities,
that's also
I'm going to put them out there like that, I'm going to call them personalities, all his different types of characteristics are out there. That I can understand why he just sits around and does nothing and gives them his plans and makes them do all the work.
Yeah, you're right.
That's what the big bad boss does, though.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, I'd say
he just sits in his chairs and chill. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you guys are saying, but like I said, you know, despite the fact that he, you know, severs these emotions from his body, I don't think it makes the other emotions that he can feel mutually exclusive. You know, I don't think these things are mutually exclusive. So, you know, he can feel some sort of ambition and have a master plan without, you know, being greedy about it. And at the same time, this is something I just thought of. It's not like they're completely severed, you know. They're still a part of him in some way, so they're still connected. And I think one of you mentioned...
this was only... My thing is only in theory that it's like completely severed. They're their own people, but he can still control them.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So they're still connected, so he still can feel these things. But obviously, you know, just to a lesser degree now that they've been personified and stuff. But one of you did say that you didn't understand how Kimberly could hear Pride's Morse code when they were stuck in the rock.
Well, that was we never said that on the episode.
No, but
so
one of you
far,
said it
yes.
Before we started the podcast. One of you guys mentioned that.
Come on, dude, that's like a spoiler.
It's not a spoiler because we're on the topic now.
All right, fair.
Go for it.
Well, yeah, it wasn't Kimberly that heard the Morse code. It was Father who heard the Morse code and sent Kimberly. Yeah, because it shows Pride hitting the helmet, and then it cuts to Father like opening his eyes or some shit.
Okay.
It's the same as when Pride was about to kill all those soldiers from Briggs.
You might as well say that Father is interconnected with all his people, and that he can know their situation.
Well,
That's what I'm saying.
Father's like a cloud,
literally
like the cloud network between everybody.
Yeah. It's like Wi-Fi. Before Wi-Fi was a thing.
Okay, well,
yeah,
I feel
it's the same as when, you know, Pride was about to kill all the soldiers from Briggs, but then he sensed that Hawkeye wasn't home or some shit. It's like that.
Okay, well, I feel like we've been having a little too many gripes, so let's talk about something I actually really loved.
Sure.
Um, I love the flashback of Hohenheim and him
Same.
meeting father for, well, at that point he's not even called a father. I don't even think he has a
He's
name.
homunculus. That's what his name
Yeah,
is.
homunculus. I love the flashback. Like, not only does it give you an idea of what Xerxes was before and after the event, it
Mm.
also gives you like an idea of how alchemy has evolved, how technology has evolved. Like at that point, the most advanced thing was like still vials with like fancy waters. But here's like, oh, we're building like an irrigation system. So it really gives you like a point in time. It feels like natural. There's like a lot of superstitious stuff happening. It also shows that at least at that point you can see that the homunculus has different emotions, unlike what we're talking about now. So I just love the way that everything was portrayed.
Mm. And that
Uh,
he's almost like he's pride, almost like we could say,
Yeah, we
like
can
that
see he
little
has a little
dark
bit of
shadow with
everything.
the smile.
hmm Exactly.
He makes me think of the cat in Tom Hatter and fuck,
and
what's
Tom
his-
Hatter.
Tom Hatter.
Matt Hatter.
Alice in Wonderland, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Mad
Fuck
Hatter.
it.
No?
No,
No, that's
it's
a character in
it's
there. Forget
it's
it.
what the fuck is that thing called? I fucking had it. Shit. All right, here. Wait, Alice.
Oh,
in
Mad Hatter is Johnny
Wonderland.
Depp. I'm goofing. Whatever
Cat.
that is.
Anyway, that
Cheshire Cat.
Yeah,
Cheshire Cat. Whatever that thing.
yeah, and then there's like that wonderful scene where during the ceremony there's like a giant eye with tentacles coming out everywhere. Like, oh my
My
God,
favorite.
yeah, what a wonderful. Not one,
That's
not
a
this-
that's a Magi scene right there, friendo.
Yeah, that was insane. And then we can really see like the despair in Hohenheim's eyes
Yeah.
when everything comes in. And then for some reason he just takes Hohenheim's face. I don't know. I think it's weird that he took Hohenheim's face. What do you guys think?
He thought Hohenheim was hot, dude. I mean, listen, it's he needed a shell, and I mean, why not take the face of your
I mean, he was
quote-unquote
already
best
connected
friend?
to him by blood, technically.
Exactly, that
Everything was
too.
just simple.
It was just, yeah, it was easy. It was like, fuck it, it's right there. I also like the parallel at how, because I mean, this wasn't directly Hohenheim's fault. It's obviously, the king who wanted to live forever. But I like the parallel that Hohenheim now has to live with this sin as his sons kind of have to live with it.
How is it his sin, though? He was
It's
a
not.
slave.
That's what I'm saying. It's not exactly the same thing, but it's a nice little parallel, and it actually makes me think that maybe if Hohenheim had stuck around after Trisha died, that's his wife's name, right? Yeah, Trisha. His sons wouldn't have done what they'd done because Hohenheim would have been there to correct their mistake based on past experience, but he had to go do whatever the fuck it is that he
I
did.
mean, he was always leaving here and there, so it was like it was nothing new.
I also like that they use this scene to show that it gives you a glimpse at what Father's master plan is, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, yes, but I also don't remember what his master plan now is.
It's essentially this, but on a
It's the
greater
same thing
scale.
as Xerxes.
But like, to what end? He's already a
Well, they never
person.
explained that.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't explain it yet, and I can't remember why he does.
Okay,
he wants to do it.
I think if I remember right, actually,
Is
is
this
this
a
a
spoiler?
spoiler? Let me think.
This is
It
spoiler.
is a
though,
spoiler.
like,
It's definitely a spoiler.
wait
He
till-
definitely,
till next- till- till-
yeah, he definitely explains himself later. But I'm trying to think as to why. But it is an interesting question because as of right now, that's a question in everybody's mind because he did this to gain power because he has half the souls of the people of Xerxes within him. But like, where does he go from here? Is it just to get more souls to live longer? Is it just to conquer the world this way? I don't know.
Right.
It's speculation for first-time readers.
Come back next time to find out what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think this is a really cool scene.
Oh, there's a character I'd like to talk about.
Go for it.
Go ahead, my man. Who is?
Gluttony. How did you feel about him getting snatched like that? Real quick.
Oh yeah, that was.
He just fucking pride just went like. It was like, all right.
He was your
that's
favorite
how that goes.
homunculi, right? How did you feel?
Sorry.
He was your favorite homunculi, no? How did you
Yeah, I
feel?
know. I was sad. He just got wiped out like that real
I
quick.
th-
I mean, the way he got wiped out was neat. Like, it was cool art, but except for
Yeah,
that,
he was discarded, my guy. He
I
was a
felt
snack.
I've personally felt that to me at least it felt more like the Barry scene. Like the two felt like they served similar roles. There were a little bit of comic relief. Um, so I didn't really feel too bad. I think it does open up the fact that Pride. Not only is Pride shown to be probably I think he's like the first sin, and it also
Yes.
shows that he has the power to absorb people into him, which is pretty neat, I guess.
Well, I mean, I'd have to assume that all of the homunculi can do this. They
Wait,
can
wait.
just chomp on each other and get stronger.
Yeah, but on Nuance Thought, the first sin, remember how when they were in the tunnel, Pride was limited to that tunnel?
Mm-hmm.
So if Father expelled from him, that means Father can move around now? Could that be the reason why?
Damn. I
Man,
don't know,
today's
man.
episode has so many hard questions.
Yeah, it's just because it's such minute things that you wouldn't really think about unless you thought about them. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, okay,
Genius.
let's go something more simplistic then. Land fans,
Well,
cool ass arm.
Let's not disregard his
No,
fucking
screw this, please.
question. Sorry, Max.
Yo, guys! Like, yeah, that's fine.
I mean, maybe it's just like a distance to body type of thing. So he figured it was his time to move. So now he just brought himself to where he needed to be, and that gave him the range he needed. I don't know.
I don't know, it just seemed like another Flash scenario, because once he got his buddy, he could technically move, but now he has Pride again, and it can only move within those tunnels and Central. It's just weird.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that's
Yeah, he says that he can
they
only
said
move
that.
in Central or through the tunnels.
Pride.
Yep.
Pride.
Yeah. Well, I mean, isn't he still in Central right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
his main
I
body
just feel
was.
weird they gave that Pride that limitation, unless that makes
I-
it too easy.
Maybe he just needed someone to be guarding that big ass tunnel 24/7.
Doesn't he have Sloth doing that?
No, Sloth was.
Well, Sloth was
digging-
digging it, so he couldn't
Okay,
be
yeah.
everywhere at
Okay,
once.
I guess. Yeah, you're right.
I don't know.
All right.
All right, so Land Fan's cool ass arm.
So, VJ, you're an artist, right? How do you love this arm?
You know what? I love it so much more than Ed's. Holy fuck.
Do you really?
Yeah, dude. Like it's like I said when we
What
we saw
chapter is it
Ed's.
Sorry.
Fuck,
Oof.
I don't even know. 80 something.
Guys.
It was during
It's
the fight with
80
Pride.
something. Yeah.
I just talk about it. It's fine. I'll search for it.
It's fuck. Yeah. Anyway, I think it's way cooler than Ed's arm, and I brought this up when we saw Ed's arm get changed or switched for the new cold resistant automail arm. I didn't have a problem with it per se, but I do feel like she could have taken more creative liberties with it, because all that changed in his arm was that there were those aerodynamic hole groove things in his forearm. But with Lanfan, like, I feel like it took some inspiration from her Singis, which is based on Chinese culture and
Oh,
stuff.
that looks great.
Yeah.
Chapter 86, last page.
Yeah, well, there you
got
go.
it.
I feel like it 86. You said
Yeah, 86.
it took
like
inspiration from the Chinese
Right.
ish armor, traditional armor, because back in the day, Shogun and Samurai, they had those pads that went up past their shoulder, and it's
For all the
layered.
history buffs, Chinese do not have samurais or ninjas, but yes, continue.
Yeah, well, Wait, but they had Shogun, didn't they? Is that
No,
not-
that's
No,
also Japanese.
That's Japanese.
All right, well, Japanese.
Yeah,
But
we
you know
get
what I
a
mean,
point.
like
Keep going.
Yeah, the shoulder.
We just lost all our Chinese viewers.
It's okay, they're all in Europe. Remember, it's fine.
Yeah, true.
All 12 of them. But yeah, it's like that layered pauldron style. I really like I really like almost how, I don't want to say rough, but I like that it's almost tied with that leather and then that cloth underneath it. It almost seems as though it obviously wasn't rushed, because it took her 6 months for it to be put together, but it almost seems as though like she has to be careful, otherwise it might all fall apart. And I think it displays like
I also
her
feel
expertise
Yeah,
in that
feels
part.
Here,
like-
the leather wrappings are just
Exactly. Yeah, it looks fucking dope, and obviously, I mean, the elbow blade doesn't even need to be stated.
right.
How
I mean, like
sick
speaking
that
of
is.
expertise, I think you could tell just from looking at the arm that this was meant to kill. Like unlike
Exactly.
Ed's arm, which feels more like a
It's-
blunt object.
It's functionality, and
Yes,
this is just
functionality. Like even
And
when
this
he
is
wants to do
lethality.
damage, sometimes he has to transmute his arm a little bit before he could like
Mhm.
do anything with it. But this
Exactly.
feels like this is trying to kill the guy.
Yeah, this is simple, and it's made for one thing and one thing only, and it's dope, man. I love it. This actually made me the first time I saw this, I didn't think this obviously because the fucking game wasn't out yet. But seeing this now made me think of Deus Ex.
Yes.
Yeah, Mankind Divided, dude. I got some Adam Jensen vibes from this. It was so dope. When she just jumps up on fucking Gluttony's shoulders and stabs him in the goddamn forehead. It was sick. And it's a cool point you brought up. I didn't look at it this way, but yeah, this is like for battle. Like the shoulders, it's not meant to look pretty. Like it's for battle and defense. The shoulders are like armored. The forearm is very simple. And, the leather wrappings as well, I guess, is to protect the smaller pieces of the hand.
Right.
It's dope. I love it.
Yeah, cool. All right, what do you guys have?
I mean, other than that, man, a lot of the things I had weren't gripes, but just something I thought, something I wanted more clarity on. If it's something you guys want to talk about, but I mean, we could go over something that Max thought of.
I'm currently.
Okay, well, I got a little something. So,
Sure.
I think these few chapters have shown the most development.
You are
in-
shafting the shit out of Max today,
Yo, I have nothing. What do you mean?
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, well, Max needed another week to get everything put together.
Yeah.
So at least these few chapters, well, these chapters that we read, I think had the most character development for Alphonse as a character.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I think VJ tried to spoil a little bit something last week.
Yeah, that was my goal, was
Right.
to spoil it. Yeah.
Yeah, but like we saw that all the times that he had to suffer throughout the night, like in loneliness, has come out, has paid off a little bit. We also keep coming back to the point that he doesn't feel pain, he doesn't feel tired, doesn't feel cold, and that was also useful. And overall, I think that he has become like his own solitary person. He's not his brother's shadow. You don't think of Alphonse as Edward's little brother anymore. You think of him as his own person.
Mm-hmm.
I do also appreciate that when he meets up his Hohenheim calls him his vintage armor. Without realizing himself.
Yeah, that was really good. Listen, man, I couldn't agree more. This was, like you said, something I wanted to bring up last week, but I was a little premature on that. Like you said, Al's character growth, I think, was awesome. It's one of the best character developments in the series. And it's like I was saying last week, he went from this shy and uncertain character to this person who's just confident and determined, and it's showcased in that scene with the chimera, the frog, and the porcupine, or whatever the hell he is, Zampano and Jalpso, is that his name? Yeah, them. When Max brought this up, when they're all like, damn, what do we do now? There's nowhere for us to go. Kimberly's gonna kill us because we failed, and we're stuck like these monsters. And Alphonse is just, almost angry at them for giving up so easily. And
I
he
didn't
tells
say
them,
nothing about that, but okay.
"What?
I didn't say nothing about that.
No, he did. Like,
no, but you were
he said,
talking
like,
about."
they're like, how can
You
we
were
ever go
talking about
back?
how-
And then he like lifts off his
Oh,
helmet
okay.
and goes like, if I want to go back, you guys can also.
Exactly. If I can find the strength if I can find the hope to want to go back, then you guys have no excuse. And like, as opposed to when he thought he was not really Ed's brother, it's just
He was
such a
made, yeah.
yeah. It just showcases so much character growth and character development. I thought it was great. I thought it was awesome. When he looks at them and he's like, well, wouldn't you guys like to go back and see your family? And, the Chimera, like, I mean, obviously, yeah. And then he just gets all up in their face and he's like, well, bitch, that's what you're going to do. I thought it was cool, man. That was a pretty minor talking point, but obviously I couldn't bring it up last week because it hadn't happened yet. But yeah,
Something I'd really like to see is Hohenheim putting on the armor.
why?
I know it's his son and all, but like, it's his armor. He got it. He kept it for some reason. I don't know.
It's vintage though. You're not supposed to wear that shit.
Yeah, just for looks.
Ugh.
Oh, that's lame. Would you guys really like if you guys bought like this whole like they sell like the stormtrooper stuff? Would you guys like never put it on?
I mean, Stormtrooper armor is like $2,000, so I don't think I'd buy that ever.
I mean, if you have
Given
that
the
money
chance,
in your
yeah, given
pocket,
the chance,
would you
I'd probably
leave
put
it
it on,
lying
yeah.
there as like the figurine in your hallway.
But that's the thing. Given the chance, I'd put it on, but I'd only put it on like once. So it stands to reason that Hohenheim has probably already put it on. Maybe.
I mean, why would he even need to put it on? He's immortal, dude.
He's
It's
immortal.
not like anything hurts him.
Also that.
Yeah.
It'll protect him from father. You never know.
I don't think that armor is gonna stop.
Well, we can close this off on. It's another deep fucking question, but I think
No, it's not a deep
something-
question. Okay, first of all, if Alphonse is still the armor, there's no
No,
way
no,
I
no, no,
want
not
him.
that. It was another talking point entirely.
Okay.
It was something else entirely. Fuck.
I was like,
Damn,
what is
I didn't know,
what
I
more
didn't
is
know
this
you were
talk
so
about?
passionate about this.
Right.
It was something I thought about, and it was also something I almost spoiled last week. It's the fact that Hohenheim, has been hinting at the fact that he's a homunculus with these indescribable powers and stuff, and just the fact that he's been shrouded in mystery this whole time up until these chunks of chapters where we find out that he's not a homunculus, but he is an actual philosopher's stone. And I just wanted to say, first of all, it's dope as fuck. But second of all, I just wanted to ask you, how do you think this works? Because my first question when I found this out was, how did he have Ed and Al, and does this mean they're not fully human? And how does it work in terms of them being like, how does it work? How did he give birth to children?
From what we saw, because he did get shot those few times, from his immortality mainly is purely regenerative, I suppose.
Okay.
Like he'll take the damage, but like.
Well, no, he also doesn't
again.
age.
There's that too, yeah. So as long as your cells don't, if they regenerate faster than they
No,
die.
I think VJ is asking about his semen and stuff, dude.
Oh.
Well, no. It's not just how he made his kids, but it's also just how he functions as a person. Like, is he still human? Is he what is he? I mean, I kind of know what he is, obviously.
I mean, it's a fictitious story. Like, what do you say? He has magic voodoo in his body. It's making him live forever.
Yes,
and how did he go?
juju.
How did he go about teaching this? How did he go about teaching Sing alchemy? If he doesn't need to fucking do shit to make alchemy happen, why can they now do this long-range alchemy shit? That's another thing.
Well, you gotta read the spin-off, dude. The spin-off that she'll never make.
I mean, the homunculus taught him alchemy, but is it the same type of alchemy that he taught the West is the question.
That's what I'm saying.
He might have taught two different types of alchemy.
We don't know these questions, and obviously it doesn't serve the story, but I mean, it's
all
like
speculative.
Yeah, it's all speculation at this point. And I just thought it would have been funny to talk about, the Elric brothers' conception. Like, how does that work? Is he still human?
Man, we have some hard ass topics today.
Dude, we got philosophical as fuck today.
Right. Okay, let's do something a little more simplistic. So, let's talk about the excellent fight choreography between all the various members of Ed's team and Pride.
I've seen that fight so many times in the anime.
Same.
It's so cool.
Like, I was going through and I was like, I don't care for it anymore.
I felt so bad for Heinkel, man. This guy was useful finally, and he's bodying the shit out of Pride, but Pride does not care at all. He's just taking the hits. And Heinkel's like, well, you know what, man? I had my moment to shine, and you're just ruining it.
Yeah.
That was pretty much all I thought of when I saw saw the fight. I mean, it's obviously cool. Anime fights are like the number one thing that anime fans like about anime.
Right,
so.
but like unlike some animes or some manga, they didn't rely on like fancy special laser beams or
I mean, it's a
super
human
fighters.
lion hybrid, so
I mean, agreed.
literally
I mean,
shadows.
Gluttony did have
stabbing
that
people.
laser beam. Just saying.
Well, let's talk about a little bit about Pride's power.
I
Is he
mean,
essentially-
didn't Gluttony have a laser beam?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Exactly.
But I don't
yeah.
think he got to use it today.
Yeah, he did use it once.
Did he? On what?
Yeah. He absorbed the owl with envy and,
No, but he didn't use it in this fight.
Oh, no.
Because I
not
think he
in
was
this fight.
prepping to use it, and then Landman just whacked his head.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
goddamn.
Cool. All right. Well, we just hit the 1 hour mark, so good job, boys.
Hey.
Your contractual obligations have been met.
Yeah, apologies to the readers at home. I guess we weren't prepared for these deep dive questions.
Yeah,
Oh man,
it's been a while since we've taken ethics class, and
true.
yeah. Anyway, so is that all the talking points you guys had for today?
I mean, I had a
Yeah.
few more, but it was just more gripes and nitpicks. So I mean, it's not.
Yeah, and
something
you
we need
beat your
to
head
bring
enough
up.
of those today, so we don't need to
Yeah.
get more.
So many nitpicks.
Anyway,
I
okay,
had
cool.
one.
So
I
for
had
everybody
one.
who
And you know what? You all jumped onto the bandwagon, so fuck you guys.
all right.
Oh God.
So like I said last time, we decided to separate what could have been a gigantic shit show of an episode into two. So we'll be actually just capping off the rest of Fullmetal Alchemist. So that's chapters, I think, 91 to 105. Maybe 106. I think there's like an extra chapter that she did a little later. If not, don't quote me on that. So yeah, we're just going to cap it off. Because I think next episode, since we'll just really be talking about the finale, there isn't necessarily too much to talk about. So what I wanted to do is probably do a little more relaxed. We'll talk about more general topics about our feelings on Fullmetal Alchemist in general.
Okay.
And then we'll reveal the results. So what we did is that I sent out a form where we had to write down 5 series, and then we'll just see which one keeps coming up, and then that'll decide the direction we're gonna go for our next quote unquote season. So yeah, are you guys have anything else to say?
Nah, man, I'm excited to wrap it up.
That's all.
All right,
It sounds super fun. Let's do this.
all right, excellent. So this has been everything I had to say. My name is Yuan.
I'm VJ.
I'm Marks.
Thank you for listening.
Mercs.
Goodbye.